Hey y'all, it's Amy, the Handy Heifer. Today we're going to make some Rotel tomatoes. Now, Rotel tomatoes to us in the South is tomatoes and green chilies. Some people might call it salsa, and that's just fine, but we in the South call it Rotel. So a lot of times we eat this with Velveeta cheese and melt it down, and we have us a queso type dip. We call it Rotel dip. It is middle of August in 2020, and we are under the COVID pandemic right now. And a lot of people are gardening, a lot of people are raising their own food, and that's great. And I just heard that there's a Rotel shortage. Can you imagine? Rotel? I guess everybody's staying in the house and eating cheese dip. So anyway, we're going to make some Rotel today, and we're just going to start. I have peeled and rough chopped some tomatoes. Now these tomatoes have come out of my garden. Most of them are Roma tomatoes. It does not matter. I have some yellow tomatoes in here. I have some regular tomatoes in here. It doesn't matter what kind of tomatoes you have. Some people leave the skins on the tomatoes. It is up to you. But for me, I went ahead and I placed the tomatoes in some boiling water just for 2 or 3 minutes until the skin gets loose. Pull those out, drain them, and then I take the skins off the tomatoes and take the core out. And I take the core out a lot of times before I boil them. So anyway, dip them in some hot water, pull the skins off, rough chop them, and you'll have some tomatoes there. Now, on Rotel, I do not have a recipe. A lot of people say, oh, share your recipe. I don't have one, okay? Rotel, simple. Tomatoes, onions. If you want onions, you don't have to put them on there. Peppers, that's it. A little salt, a little lemon juice. That's it, okay? That's Rotel. To taste. If you want it hotter, add more peppers. If you don't, then don't add more peppers. Now, just remember, if you put your peppers in, if you put too many peppers in and it's hot. You're not going to take it out. So, anyway, let's get this started. I've got my tomatoes here. And I'm going to go ahead and cook these down a few minutes. And then we'll come back and we'll add our other ingredients. Okay, so now we're at a full boil. Went ahead and set my camera up on the other side so we could have room, and you can see that they're starting to soften up and cook down just a little bit. Now I'm going to add some onion and jalapeno. Now, this is probably 2 small onions. They weren't very big. And that's one reason that I don't like a recipe on this, because if you're using fresh garden vegetables or what you can find, they're not all going to be uniform in size. You're going to have some small, some big. And so to say 2 bell peppers or 2 onions, well, that could mean difference in a whole cup almost sometimes. So I put my onions in, and I have 6 jalapeno peppers here. That looks like it may be a little much, so I'm going to put about half of that in so you can see how much, about that much in there. At first, I'm erring on the side of caution because, it could be hot. We like hot, but we don't want it so hot that we can't use it or eat it. So I'm going to leave that there like that. I'm going to stir that in, and I'm also going to add about a tablespoon or so. Just got some salt here, canning salt. We'll go 2 tablespoons. That's about what I had. About 2 tablespoons of canning salt in there, and we're going to let that cook down just a few minutes. And let's let that cook for about 15 minutes. I'm going to put my timer on 15. And we'll let that cook for about 15 minutes and we'll be back. Okay, we are back. It's been about 15 minutes. And this has cooked down really nice. you need to stir it periodically because you don't want it to stick to the bottom and scorch. The reason I rough chop my tomatoes is because they do cook down quite a bit. They'll reduce in size. So if you don't like big chunks of tomato, I don't know if you can see some of that. They're not huge, but if you don't like that, then you can take a stick blender and give it a little buzz to cut down on those. So I think I'm going to do that. I have a few big chunks in there, so we're going to take our stick blender and just give it a little bit of a blend. I don't want to blend it much, just enough. That's probably enough. Look. So it's all up to you. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. As you can tell, it's got a few big chunks, but mostly just small. And I did taste this, and it is hot. Fairly hot. I mean, it's all to your taste. I like hot, we like hot. If it's not hot enough for you, add more pepper. And this is all up to you. All we added in here was tomatoes, jalapenos, and I did leave my seeds and veins in my jalapenos. If you want to err on the side of caution, devein and seed your jalapenos before you put them in here. But I guess we probably used more like 3 or 4 jalapenos. I had 6 chopped, so we didn't use it all. Tomatoes, onions, jalapenos, and salt, and that's it. Now, when we put these in the jars, I will put about a teaspoon of lemon juice in each jar. I'm going to put these in pint jars. I have my jars in my steam canner right now, sterilizing. So I'm going to get those out, and we'll be ready to put this in the jars. Okay, y'all, I have my clean and sterile jars right here that I just pulled out of the steam canner, and so they're hot and ready to be filled. I have my funnel here that will help me keep it all in there. I have put 1 teaspoon of lemon juice in each jar. The lemon juice is optional. It is to keep the tomatoes from turning. Sometimes on the shelf, your tomatoes will discolor just a little bit on the top. That's okay. It's completely normal. It does not hurt you. And usually tomatoes have enough acid in them that they don't do that too much. So, but I go ahead and put a teaspoon in there just to keep them from doing that. You can also use a ball makes a fruit fresh or citric acid that you can use. You can add it to your jars or to your tomatoes. Okay, so let's start filling our jars with our hot liquid, or our hot tomatoes, Rotel. So we're just going to go ahead and ladle that right in to your jars. And I'm just going to do a couple for you to see at first, and then we're going to go right up to the first rim, bottom rim of the jar, and then take it out and go to the next jar. We'll do 2. I also have my lids, or my flats as some people call them, right up to the first ring over here. I have them in my steam canner right here that they were getting hot. And I'm going to reach and get my magnet. I have this handy dandy little magnet. It's going to pick them up. But I also have my rings right here. And I'm going to pick my flat up just like that. I'm going to put it in my ring. And then you need to make sure, grab a towel, that there's nothing on top of your jar where you can get a good seal. So wipe the top of, oops, I'm so sorry. Wipe the top of a jar and put your lid or your flatten your ring on and secure it down finger tight. I'll do this other one and then I'm going to finish up and we will come back and I'll show you how to put them in the canner. Okay, I like once more getting my lids put on. Now then, I have 6 pints and 4 half pints. So I've got my steam canner going here. As you can see, it's boiling. And we're going to, let me find mine. There it is. And we're going to put these in the canner. Now this is where some people vary on their canning methods. I water bath these or steam can them in my steam canner. For about 20 minutes. You can pressure can them. A lot of people think they need to be pressure canned because the onions and the peppers. Put my lid on and set my timer for 20 minutes. Now, if you want to pressure can them, that is perfectly fine. I have before. If I've got my pressure canner up and going, I do my pressure canning outside because of glass topped stove and it could possibly crack my stove. So I don't do that in here. I do it outside, but I don't have my pressure canner up and going today. If I did, and I didn't have this going today and I was doing it all pressure, I would put it in my pressure canner. But I have water bathed these for years. The tomatoes are very acidic. You also have lemon juice in there. And I have not ever had a problem with spoilage on my Rotel. So this is the way I do it. If you do not agree with that, you do it the way you need to. That's perfectly fine. Me and my family will do it this way. So anyway, 20 minutes and we'll pull those out in just a minute. Okay guys, pull this out of the canner here. Pull our hot jars out. It's been 20 minutes. They're hot. Okay. There they go. Pop, pop. Starting to seal. There goes another one. It's over here because I gotta set those back in there. These are hot. Okay, now 3 more to put in. Don't you just love that popping sound? Love to hear that noise. All right, put those back in there. Set our timer and we'll be done. Now, I want to show y'all a jar real close if I can get a hold of it here. It is hot. Wipe it down. One thing I did fail to mention was you will see some bubbles in here, and that's because it's hot and it's boiling, so to speak, inside. Oop, there goes another one. Okay. I don't know if y'all can see this very well. I'm going to try to get the camera a little close to this light. And there is your beautiful jar of Rotel tomatoes. Now, I hope y'all enjoyed that. And if there's a Rotel shortage, then hey, make your own, right? Hope you enjoy these videos. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Thank you, and y'all have a great day.